Everyone, welcome back again to this week's stream. It's a little bit earlier this week. I hope no one minds. Um, we got a big game coming out this afternoon. If anyone's into World of Warcraft, it's going to be World of Warcraft Shadowlands. So I'm here a little bit earlier because it's going to be a really long stream this afternoon, and I wanted to get this out of the way to make sure I updated you guys before Black Friday coming up here because I think it's going to be a big one this year with all the PlayStation and Xbox news. So let's get down to it. So, I'd like to touch a little bit more on which system would I buy this season because we're starting to hear reports already that apparently the programmers are having a hard time pairing and patching a lot of the new ported games to the PlayStation 5 this season, which I figured might be a bit of an issue moving forward to, 4K 120 frames a second is a big jump from the current systems. And apparently, PlayStation 5 is having a bit of an issue dealing with this pairing, which is kind of understandable. A lot of people in the past have always asked me, Xbox, PlayStation, what do you buy? And it's really a hard question. I always like to answer with, at the core of things, I like to answer with, where do your friends play? It really comes down to that, but on a deeper side of things, if you're really concerned about utilizing all the hardware out of the system, if you're really worried about getting the top performing games in each division when they're released and everything, I think it goes a lot deeper than just where do your friends play, let's be honest. Um, why I say this is because I always like to bring it back to cars because a lot more people understand cars and how they work than understand tech and how it works. Okay, so I like to make the analogy that, and I hope I don't offend anyone with this, it's just how I feel about the two systems and the way that they're manufactured, developed for, everything like that. So, when dealing with PlayStation and Xbox, you're dealing with a hardware company and essentially a software company when you're dealing with PlayStation hardware, right? They make virtually everything hardware. TVs, they make stereo equipment, they make everything hardware, right? Then you're dealing with Microsoft, who is a software company, right? They program everything that you deal with, okay? Now, what I'm getting at is, and why I bring it down to cars is, you can give two people two very different vehicles, okay? You can give a race car driver, say, a smart car, right? And you can give a, say, 6-year-old kid, and I hate using that age range, but it's just the age range I see someone kind of being a little bit maybe new to driving, maybe not quite as experienced as an actual race car driver, if you see what I'm getting at here. Um, you give the 6-year-old a, you know, even a Lamborghini or something, and who do you think is going to be able to put down better track times? Realistically, it's going to be the race car driver. And what I'm getting at here is you've got one company who literally programs for everything and everyone. So they can utilize every single minute, you know, computing point out of the system. Whereas you've got PlayStation where they've got great hardware, and don't get me wrong, they've always got a great system, but it's not going to get every little, tidbit out of the system. You've got kind of, maybe I hope I'm not overstepping bounds here. You've got amateur programmers compared to Xbox, and I think this time around we're kind of seeing that. Um, Again, reports are showing that it's going to be very hard for the PlayStation to be hitting their 4K 120 frames per second target. And a lot of people are saying that there's an easy fix, drop down to 60 frames a second like the current systems, but apparently that's hard to program for too. It's not just that easy from a programming standpoint. So instead of rambling on here about this, because I know people aren't really, looking at this program for, breakdowns on, the really, really technical side. All I'm getting at this is be careful this system, this time around. Most of the other systems, it wouldn't really have mattered. This time, when you're taking such a big technical jump and you're jumping to 4K, you're going to want every, screen to look good, every game to look as good as they can. In my opinion, I think you're probably looking at an Xbox if that's your thing this time. Um, PlayStation's going to be really good. Again, you're going to be hitting 4K in certain games that can utilize it and can be optimized for it. But Xbox, in my opinion, this season is probably where you want to be if you've got the 4K TV, if you've got 120 hertz variable refresh rate, because otherwise a lot of these points I'm making right now are pretty minute points for the most part when it really gets broken down because everything's going to look really good compared to what we're coming from. Um, Back to where to get PlayStations and Xboxes from. Realistically, most of them are going to be, again, like I covered last week, most of them are going to be at your big box locations, your Walmarts, Costco's, Toys R Us, Best Buy, stuff like that. Reports are already showing that most of the stores will be online only. I believe Walmart is going to be one of those locations. I believe here it covers that Walmart. The next chance to purchase a Xbox at November 25th is going to be all online. So again, what I would suggest is contact your local stores to just make sure how they're doing their pre-orders and their sales because these are going to be flying off the shelves. Let's be honest, they already have been. As quick as people can put them on the shelves, they're flying off. So make sure you contact your stores ahead of time and camp out if you need to. Also, too, regarding some, where was it? Regarding some back compatibility issues. Um, Again, I don't know how big a concern this is for a lot of people, but with the current catalog of games on the PlayStation and the Xbox, I mean, realistically, at the early release stages of a new system, it's always probably or should be a concern for most people is how back compatible is their old system. There are reports, as you can see here. I always forget which way I have to kind of point here. Oh, there we go. Boo, 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 boo. As reports are showing, there might be some issues with back compatibility with certain games running on the PlayStation 5. Again, you might want to look into this yourself, depending on the game, depending on realistically the programmer of the game. Most games, it seems that everything's fine. It seems to be most of the uh, the really old games, games that you're probably not going to be worried about or concerned about playing because they're older titles anyways that you've probably already beaten a few times. But again, it's always something to look into yourself just to be safe. Because again, while both consoles are capable of playing last generation games at higher frame rates, it seems that see, here's where we're touching on the frame rates for the developers. Last week, Activision patched in 124 frames per second support for Call of Duty for Xbox Series X. So what that means is right now, if you jump into Call of Duty, which seems to be pretty much the go-to game for most people right now. If you're playing on an Xbox Series X versus a PlayStation 4, you will notice quite a bit of a difference in how the game feels, smoothness wise, because you are going to be running at 120 hertz on the Xbox, but the PS5 requires a full native port due to how the back compatibility works, and they're not able to figure that out now. It doesn't mean they're not going to be able to figure it out in the future. It just means that generally when a game is released, it might take some time to be optimized. So you might not get the full game as soon as the game is released. You might have to wait a couple weeks for the game to be optimized to be running at 120 frames per second. But again, I don't know if you've ever seen tests or anything done. You'd be pretty hard pressed to tell the difference unless you have very good eyesight. Or again, generally the bigger your TV is, the more you'll notice that because the refresh rate is going to help with refreshing the image on the screen. I think that's about all this week. I wanted to keep this week really short because, again, I'm going to be doing a really long stream this evening regarding uh, World of Warcraft Shadowlands. I'm really excited for that. I'm so excited I can barely even keep myself contained here. So this one's going to be relatively short. By all means, as I always say, if there's any questions or anything about anything we've covered, if you'd like me to cover any material and do research on anything specific, any questions about any breakdowns on tech-related news, if anyone's looking to build a computer and they just have questions about what components they might need right now, what's available, what's compatible with what, because I know a lot of people are working from home right now and a lot of people are trying to build home systems. some people are lucky enough to have computers, supplied from their work, and other people just don't want those computer systems because let's be honest, usually work computer systems are pretty crummy. So again, if anyone wants any help with any tech-related questions or anything like that, by all means, let me know. I'd love to help you out with anything tech-related. Hit me up on my pretty much everything: Instagram, Discord at this point, Facebook. I just really want to be here for the community and help everyone out with any problems they might be having tech related recently, because I know, again, a lot more people are relying on their tech stuff right now, both for entertainment and work. So again, if you have any questions about kind of how I do my streams or anything like that, my nifty little interludes or anything like that, by all means, drop me a line. More than happy to help with anyone and any questions that anyone has. Again, any suggestions too that anyone has, I always really appreciate suggestions as well. Um, as I always say and have said a million times, I'm a new streamer, so any suggestions anyone can drop me would be really appreciated. I'd really like to get into some more graphic design. Obviously, have a better layout for my screen and my panel transitions and everything like that. But I can only read so much. I do actually sleep at night, despite what most people think. It's not very much, but I do sleep. Robots do need to recharge batteries. So, all with time, folks, all with time. But all with time, it gets better, right? But again, thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, keep yourself healed up, please. Always keep healed up. And thank you for tuning in. Drop me a line, drop me a like. By all means, drop me a share and a follow, and appreciate it. Have yourselves a great day, and see you back in a little bit with some Shadowlands coverage. I'm excited. Let's get some people healed up. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy your week.